All right, two more games to discuss. Washington Commanders 35, Denver Broncos 33. Commanders move to 2-0. Broncos fall to 0-2. Some similarities to the last game we just discussed. A one-sided affair early, and then Washington brings it back. But then Denver hits a Hail Mary. Down 8, a Hail Mary to get within 2, but the two-point conversion falls incomplete. Commanders pull it out 35-33. What you got here, Sam?
And a ridiculous Hail Mary.
Yes.
It was
way short.
Yeah. Well, not way short. Like a 60-something
Not way short, but short.
bomb.
It was a long pass. It was a few yards short of the end zone. You don't usually see one that lands short of the end zone becoming a touchdown.
Yes. Drops a couple of yards short of the end zone and then just sort of bounces over helmets and hands into the end zone where a guy grabs it, touchdown, whoa. Did you read the Seth Wickersham sort of profile piece on Sean Payton that came out a few weeks ago?
No, but you told me some of the highlights.
So it was very good. I mean, most of the things Seth Wickersham writes are very good and worth a read. But it was pretty fascinating as a portrait of the mindset of Sean Payton, because he is firmly convinced that the league has a vendetta against him and is actively working its way to ruin him. And to be fair, of all the people in the NFL, Sean Payton has more reason than most to suspect things like that, right? He was obviously part of the whole Bountygate thing. There was discussion at the time about whether they overreacted in terms of suspending him versus just Greg Williams, et cetera, the guy that set it up and orchestrated it. The Saints obviously are the victims of one of the worst non-calls in NFL history in the NFC Championship game with the no defensive pass interference where the dude just got taken out by Nickel Roby-Coleman. And, so it sort of makes sense that he at least has this thought, but it painted a picture of just how much that gnaws at him. It essentially made the argument that he stepped away from the Saints because he was fed up of Roger Goodell in the league, fixing the game against him, and only came back to the Broncos because he was convinced that as the Waltons being the richest owners in the NFL by a mile, the league would not be screwing them over, right? And as you know, I root for nothing in football more than the funniest possible outcome on all occasions, right? So nothing is more funny than, there was another element in this article that made a point of how important Sean Payton believed it was to get off to a good start. He believed that's what helped him build the Saints, was they won their first few games, and that took all the pressure away, and then he could get on with the job of actually doing the job. So you add those two things together, and you've got now that the Broncos are 0-2, and that they got screwed at the end of this game by a crappy officiating no call, the 2-point conversion at the end of the Hail Mary. There were multiple instances of egregious defensive holding or pass interference, neither of which were called. And you're like, look, it's sad for Sean Payton, but that is objectively funny that a paranoid conspiracy theorist has now just watched his team get hosed out of a win by a no call from the officials.
That's your biggest takeaway?
That's what I got. That's my high-level takeaway from this game, is that is an objectively hysterical way for that game to end.
I've got some different takeaways.
Okay.
That's what that is. I mean, yeah. I didn't know the Sean Payton conspiracy theory thing. Obviously, I know the bad calls, but Marvin Mims averaged 56.5 yards per target, Sam. I suggested in the Twitter sphere multiple times now that he deserves 2 to 3 deep shots a game. He got 2 yesterday, one for 60, one for whatever else the other one was, 53. Yeah. Do more of that.
Yeah.
He only had 2 targets.
Right.
2 catches for 113 yards. So early on, the Broncos look like they're running away with this. And it was, that was again, the old school Russ. What I can't figure out here, Sam, is why there are pockets of the game that we say, this looks right. This looks like old school Russell Wilson-led team. There was 2 deep shots off of play action. He throws a beautiful deep ball. Marvin Mims is the beneficiary there. Marvin Mims creates big plays. They had some other big plays in there as well. Offense is cooking. They're running a little bit. Russ is making some plays with his legs. Probably taking too many sacks. I mean, he ends up getting sacked 7 times. He's just kind of running around taking some negative plays. But there are pockets of the game that look good. Hits a shallow cross for a touchdown. The Broncos are up big. And then but the consistency is not there. I don't know how to parse that out, right? Like, it's not everything's falling apart, everything looks bad. There are stretches of play that look good. So Russell Wilson, I feel, has gone almost from a guy that we used to call streaky, right? Where he would have full games where he looked great, and then 1 week he just looked terrible. Has his streakiness gone from a game to game to just like a quarter to quarter type of thing? That's what I'm feeling here watching this Broncos offense.
Yeah, I mean, I still think a big part of it is the receiver question. Like, Jerry Jeudy and Courtland Sutton are playing basically every snap. That makes sense. They're, the two obvious players in that offense to feature. But Brandon Johnson, and you can't criticize the man too much because he's the guy that caught the touchdown at the end that gave them a shot to win it in the end zone. But Brandon Johnson,
50-yard touchdown, man.
Right, 30 snaps on offense. Little Jordan Humphrey, 19 snaps on offense. Marvin Mims, 14 snaps of offense, two of which
Give Mims more plays.
Yes, two of which were 50-yard touchdown bombs, or 50-yard bombs. Look,
I'm no genius, but at least try it a third time. Just see if they'll cover it the third time.
Even if you're not taking the shot the third time, like, why is this guy getting half the snaps of Brandon Johnson? You know what I mean? Like, this is off. Like that.
Yards per route run, 1 million. Try more. Do more.
So, again, small sample size performances do not necessarily scale up and mean that a guy is going to dominate with a bigger workload. But they should mean that if you have ineffective receivers taking snaps, we should at least play with this dynamic and see if we can move this distribution a little bit, and it has a beneficiary effect on the offense. Because right now, you've got Marvin Mims, who, remember, was one of these guys that everybody loved in the draft. Like, it didn't necessarily mean you were going to put him in the first round, but, like, everybody liked that guy. I didn't see a single scouting report that was like, Marvin Mims is garbage and is never going to be a good NFL receiver. And you saw that about, like, people said that about Jordan Addison, right? Or Quentin Johnston. Like, there were more negative draft reports about those guys than there were Marvin Mims. So if everybody liked him, and right now everything we see from him is like a dominant deep play, let's give the man some more playing time and see what the problems are, rather than just assuming little Jordan Humphrey belongs in the offense more than he does.
Yes, please. I mean, look, so the Broncos get up 21-3, in part on the back of Marvin Mims being awesome. And the Commanders just start chipping away, man. They start chipping away, and it was a couple key plays. Like right before the half, Sam Howell hits this 35-yard cover 2 shot with about 20 seconds left in the half. So these are some of those underrated plays in the game. Right before the half, cover 2 shot. They were down 21-3. That ends up leading to a field. I'm sorry, they were down 21-11 at the time. Leads to a field goal to get within a touchdown. These little plays add up. One of the big plays was to tie the game. Sam Howell to Terry McLaurin, an absolute
incredible pass.
Dime. I mean, just throw, catch, just outstanding. And look, I talked about Sam Howell. There were plays early in the game. He is holding the ball way too long. The Commanders' pass blocking was not bad. They did not do a bad job. There was too many negative plays for Sam Howell. It was painful early watching him hold the ball. Not Justin Fields painful, but painful. But he got out of it, man. He threw the ball really, really well. If he could just cut back on those negative plays, Commanders might have something here. And he played really well down the stretch, had those plays that got back into him. The Commanders got the run game going. The defense stepped up at the same time. The Broncos offense decided to collapse. So really nice win here for the Commanders.
I'm starting to really like Sam Howell. I find him quite a fascinating quarterback because I can't think of too many players before who have been really quite good, but with one glaringly obvious flaw to his game, right? That's kind of where I'm landing right now with Sam Howell, which is almost everything he does is good, and he's capable of some spectacular stuff, but the sacks thing is terrible. I mean, he's bad at that. Like, taking too many sacks, inviting some bad ones, and turning way too many pressure plays into sacks. And those are negative plays that may or may not, influence the outcome of the game at the end of it. But it's like an obvious real weakness in his game right now. But everything else It was actually pretty good and fun to watch. And it's working. I mean, that pass to Terry McLaurin was spectacular, incredible catch as well. The pass for Logan Thomas that ended up almost getting him killed with a terrible Kareem Jackson hit was a really nice play as well. He made a bunch of really nice plays in this game, and that was despite, I mean, yeah, he made it look worse, I think, at times, but Denver's pass rush showed up. Remember, like week 1, it was like, do the Broncos have any pass rush at all? They had multiple plays in this game where they did win and win early and win cleanly, and then there was some more in there as well where Sam Howell probably made it look worse than it was. But
pass protection was not perfect for the Commanders. But Sam Howell just got to get rid of the ball and not take so many.
Yeah, I mean, there were also plays where like it was literally a perfect pocket, and then he bailed out of the back end of it, and Randy Gregory chased him down from behind, turns it into a sack. It was a mixed bag, but there were plays in there where the pass protection was under strain, and Sam Howell ends up making plays anyway. I've come out of the first couple of weeks very impressed by Sam Howell, despite like the obvious weakness in one specific area of his game.
Yeah, and look, I know analytically the sack rate is not generally something that you improve. You can. I mean, I think schematically you can help get rid of the ball and you can change it a little bit, but if he does improve that, Sam, the Commanders might have something there. Couple defensive linemen to highlight for Washington here too. Daron Payne had a huge game. Remember, he got paid this offseason. Maybe he might actually be better now than he's been over the last couple of years. Payne had some great big plays, and then Chase Young played football, man. Yeah. He played football.
Got a ton of pressure.
He played 40-something snaps with, what do we have? 5 BDs. Dude, I just clicked off it. 7 pressures, including negated plays. Chase Young showing up here. So it was good to see him. Good to see Daron Payne. And that's the Washington formula. I know they ended up giving up a lot of points, but they settled down after the slow start. There's a Hail Mary in there. Washington defense can be really effective with that defensive line, especially with Chase Young back.